And we're live.
Yeah. Have you seen this image of Trump in Saudi Arabia and the world leaders with their hands
the orb?
on the globe? Yeah, on the
orb. This is a fantastic memeable picture, and right here we've got Saruman in there.
Like, I've sent that to everyone I know, and I'm like, they're like, oh, it's kind of weird. It was a little ominous. I'm like, yeah. Did you notice anything else about the picture? And they're like, I don't know, that he's with that guy from Saudi Arabia, I guess. And who's that other gentleman there? That's Saruman the White.
Saruman the White. And he's gracefully lent, the Sheikh of Saudi Arabia and Donald Trump, the Palantir of Orthanc. Yeah.
We do not know. They are not all accounted for. Shrouds it. We do not know who else might be watching.
Yeah, that silly fuck Pippin uncovers it in the extended edition.
It's so easy to step on bad pictures when you do this stuff. I remember you slipped in something saying, like, of course the media is terrible because it's Trump. Do you remember when Obama bowed or something? I think who did he bow to? Was it a Chinese guy? Was it a Muslim guy?
I think it was a Muslim guy.
The Muslim leaders in the Middle East, a couple of them.
Yeah.
And he gave that Chinese guy a hand job. It was.
It's just bad optics, but you don't understand other cultures, Kyle.
So get us through.
So yeah, I see silly stuff like this and think whatevs that happens. I don't know.
No, yeah, I don't care. I just think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Saruman is there, and you don't notice it first because I don't know, everybody.
Yeah, because he's also in white robes.
Yeah. And
wait a minute, that looks like Christopher Lee.
Is that his name?
Yeah, he's dead now.
Was his name?
God rest him.
Yeah.
Did Dumbledore die too? Or
yes. The original one.
The original Dumbledore.
And then Christopher Lee played him, maybe?
No, Christopher Lee was only Saruman. He wasn't. I didn't really get into the Harry Potter thing, but I don't think he was in Harry Potter at all.
Correct, Mundo.
Who replaced Dumbledore? Do we know?
I don't know. Well, let's see.
Come on, Taylor. You like all that fantasy stuff.
I don't remember the actor's name.
I don't know shit about Harry Potter. The first people also ask question, Woody, a little bit of like a tally in your column. Is Dumbledore the same actor as Gandalf? Gandalf isn't Saruman, but people clearly got mistaken between Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, so you're not the only one. The answer is no.
Yeah, definitely no.
The same.
It's not Ian McKellen either.
Man, I really hope that Lord of the Rings series ends up being good.
If it's about Aragorn's life, I'm gonna be so upset.
I wouldn't want to watch Aragorn's life either. I don't want something that's singularly focused. I'd rather there be an event that you're tracking, and then you kind of have those tendrils coming out of different storylines, kind of like Lord of the Rings, where you get a little dose of Hobbit culture, a little dose of Elvish culture, a little bit of dwarf, a little bit of the Dunedain men like Aragorn. Like that's kind of what I would like.
It's a prequel, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a prequel. Kyle, I think knows better. When is it exactly taking place?
I don't think they've exactly said.
Oh.
I don't know why they do prequels so. I feel like sequels should be the default. That should be the answer to me for things in general 90% of the time. When you do a prequel, we already know kind of how it ends. Like what's on the other side of this. Spoiler, Aragorn doesn't die. Aragorn is going to be put in all kinds of precarious positions in this prequel. Am I saying his name wrong?
Aragorn.
Yeah. Aragorn, thanks. He's going to put in all kinds of precarious positions during the sequel, and I know that he'll be fine. Because
see, I think that might be part of the reason they do it. It's like we could do a sequel or we could do a prequel where we're basically just meandering our way to the end, which is already decided.
Well,
like
there isn't a whole lot after the trilogy. Like the trilogy is kind of like the culmination of Tolkien, but there's this enormous amount of stuff behind the trilogy that has nothing to do necessarily with the Ring of Power or anything. Like Sauron was the big bad villain of the trilogy. But he's not the big bad villain of the universe. He's like a demon. There's a Satan, there's
Murka.
a Satan, Murka, that could be part of the story. You could go back to the whole like Genesis of Shelob, the gigantic spider who is really like a female goddess who's like in the body of that spider. Like there's this whole backstory of like different gods and goddesses that's a bit like Mount Olympus. There's good ones and evil ones, and some of the gods created different races here on the, or not here, but in Middle Earth, and some you could see the corruption of the elves. Like there's a lot of stuff you could see. You could see the whole journey of the elves over to Middle Earth from the Undying Lands, and how there was treachery and the boats were burned. Like there's enormous epic tales there, but like what we saw in the trilogy is like the last 10 minutes of like Tolkien storytelling, but there's an enormous amount before it. It has nothing to do with it.
But if Aragorn, did you say, what was his name?
Aragorn.
Thank you. If Aragorn is in it, then it tells me something about the ending of it, and that's a bit
if
spoiled
Aragorn's
to
in
me,
it, I don't like
because
that either.
when I watch, I thought we knew that he was. When I watch Game of Thrones, part of the fun of it for me is that at any episode, major people could die. There was a red wedding, there was a purple wedding. If you told me that Daenerys, I think, died in the last season, I'd be like, I buy it. It could happen, Like I don't know that the major of the most major characters like Tyrion, Daenerys, Jon Snow, I don't know that they're all going to make it. So that's fun. But if it's in the prequel, then you sort of do know who makes it, and we'll see what's up. I hope it's great.
Yeah, I really hope that it's not that. I hope that it's not Aragorn's life, because like he's like 90 years old or something like that in the trilogy. So like it could be they're saying it's gonna be 5 seasons. That I know. It's gonna be 5 seasons of TV. It's hard to say though how many episodes per season. 5 episodes per season, or 10 episodes, or 12 episodes. That's a big swing.
When Lord of the Rings ends, do they wrap up that whole universe? Because Kyle just said that like it's the last 10 minutes of a giant story, but I'm like, how is anything the last, right? Until that planet hits
there's
the
no
sun.
There's no more magic left in
in
the world. Like all of the main magical characters, kind of all the elves leave Middle Earth and go to the Undying Lands, which is like not really their heaven. It's just another continent where there's still magic.
It's meant to be the symbolism of heaven.
Yeah, it's like an embodiment of an afterlife here on Earth, because they're immortal, but they all kind of go over there, and it's sort of like, and they lived happily ever after.
Gimli made it.
You know what? I want like more of this. I have such a preference for sequels to prequels that I'm like, you can undo all that, and then the dragon hit the ground, and the elves said, you know what, you guys look like you need a hand, I'm on my way, and the giant escalator formed, and they came down from heaven and went for round 2. I'm down.
I don't like your version. It's not the one I'm comfortable with.
There's 90 minutes of them standing still. Like, should we walk down the escalator or just stand here? Like,
that's the other thing. There's this whole period of time with dragons. There's this whole period of time where there are many dragons. I think there are ice dragons too. That happens, way in the past. Like it's. I'm excited about a prequel, because pretend it's a sequel, because none of the only characters who are still alive are like Gandalf and Claire, what's her name? The super hot chick, the old
Liv Tyler chick.
No, she was Galadriel. Yeah, Galadriel. Like Galadriel would be alive. Shelob would be alive. Gandalf would be alive. Fucking Liv Tyler's dad, whose name's escaping right now. He'd probably be alive.
Lord Elrond.
She didn't know that Steven Tyler was her father until like in the middle of her life, and then she abandoned the guy she thought was her father and went, started an acting career.
I hope that that's not like an accurate telling. I hope that like her real father still feels loved and part of her life, but now she has
restraining order. She made him change his name. I'm kidding.
Wait, why?
She didn't want to be anywhere nearly associated.
I saw Tylers.
Yeah, I saw Steven Tyler on the Joe Rogan Experience recently. He's a fucking kook. Like there are guys. What? I mean, did you know that he was an absolute kook? Like he's on there and he's like, I think that humans have been around for like way longer than we think, like millions of years. And Joe's like, well, there were early hominids, but modern man has existed from somewhere from between 250 and 350,000 years. People like us that look like us, think like us, et cetera, same brain size. And no, I think we went underground there, like into the Grand Canyon. Like, where'd that come from? Like, there are these tunnels that go like 3 miles underground. I think we hid there, but what were we hiding from? Yeah. And Rowan's just he's like, there's tunnels. There are caves. Those do exist. The Grand Canyon is a thing. Yeah. He's trying to not, if it were a normal person, he'd be like, dude, are you fucking retarded? Are you high right now? What's wrong with you? But it's Steven Tyler, so he's just like letting it flow. It was embarrassing.
But that's the way it goes.